Affordable housing, why it matters for every economic level, and how PadSplit is making a real difference. When people hear affordable housing, they often picture a single type of person in need. But the reality is much broader, deeper, and more human than expected. Housing is not a luxury, housing is a foundational requirement for human stability. In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, shelter sits at the bottom of the pyramid, right alongside food, water, and safety. Without stable housing, education becomes harder, finances crumble, mental health declines, relationships suffer, opportunities shrink, long term goals feel impossible. Affordable housing is not just a social issue, it is a life issue, a human dignity issue, a kingdom stewardship issue. And today, with rising rent prices, inflation, stagnant wages, and rising living costs, the people being priced out of homes are not just the extremely poor. They include minimum wage workers, part time workers, students pursuing degrees or certifications, adults working two jobs, people on fixed incomes such as SSI, disability, and retirement, individuals rebuilding their lives after hardship, single parents, people recovering from homelessness or instability. This crisis affects everyone, and yet the market acts as if stable housing is optional. It isn't. Affordability is subjective, and that's the problem. A home that is affordable for someone making $70,000 a year may be impossible for someone making $15 an hour. A room that feels cheap to a middle class income worker might be a lifeline to someone living check to check. Affordability must be understood through the lens of income level, local economy, cost of living, transportation access, family size, personal goals, educational level, and debt load. There is no universal affordability. There is only one, and that is personal affordability. And our society does not have enough options that honor that truth. Affordable housing is not about charity, it's about stability, dignity, and equal opportunity. Maslow's hierarchy, shelter is the foundation of human thriving. You cannot reach your purpose, creativity, higher thinking, spiritual clarity, personal growth when you are constantly fighting to survive. When a person's housing is unstable, the mind enters survival mode. This affects decision making, emotional regulation, self esteem, physical health, relationships, job performance, long term planning. Affordable housing creates the foundation for everything else a person is trying to build, whether that's financial independence, mental stability, education, or spiritual growth. At CLG Lifestyle, we talk often about purpose, structure, discipline, healing, and becoming a high value man or woman in God's kingdom. But none of these things are possible when a person is one eviction notice away from collapse. Housing stability is the launching pad for destiny. PadSplit, a real modern solution for today's housing crisis. Many people don't need a full apartment. They need something safe, stable, clean, affordable, flexible, private, and close to opportunities. This is where PadSplit comes in. PadSplit offers affordable, fully furnished rooms with lower moving costs, utilities included, weekly or monthly billing, background checks, no long term leases, clean, safe living environments, flexibility for working adults, students, and people rebuilding their lives. PadSplit is specifically designed for people who work full time or part time, are pursuing education, earning hourly wages, are trying to save money, need stability while advancing in life, are recovering from instability or financial transitions. This service offers something the traditional housing market does not: dignity and affordability wrapped into the same solution. PadSplit helps the most? PadSplit is a blessing for minimum wage workers, gig economy drivers, student and adult learners, people on fixed incomes, those transitioning from homelessness, recently relocated workers, people rebuilding after divorce or family disruption, individual workers, and individual working towards long-term financial goals. Housing should not be a barrier to progress. At CLG Lifestyle, we believe, and our mission is to help people stabilize their lives, grow spiritually, pursue purpose, build structure, create a life of excellence, elevate their families, break generational cycles. You cannot preach purpose without addressing stability. You cannot elevate a man or woman spiritually without acknowledging their physical needs. You cannot talk about becoming while ignoring where people are beginning. CLG Lifestyle believes in practical solutions, not just motivational words. Housing matters, structure matters, affordability matters, human dignity matters, and for many, PadSplit is the bridge between surviving and starting over. Everyone deserves the foundation to succeed. Affordable housing is not a political debate, it is a human need. When people have safe, stable shelter, it unlocks mental clarity, discipline, confidence, financial freedom, emotional healing, educational advancement, spiritual growth, motivation, purpose. Housing is the beginning of everything. Without it, nothing else in a person's life work. This is why we support solutions like PadSplit, not only for what they offer today, but for how they open the door to a better tomorrow. Don't forget to check out CLG Lifestyle for all your lifestyle content. I am Corwin L. Gilliams, founder and creator.